How's it going, people? Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to Lead Judges TV. I'm your host, Dan Potts, and I brought Lead Judges with me. And before we start, there's a couple of things I just wanted to say before we welcome everybody and we welcome Lee. I just want to say, obviously, condolences to what happened to Arsenal legendary fan Maria. Very, 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 very sad. Didn't have the pleasure of meeting her myself, but I know that a lot of people that I know did. And it is going to be a huge, huge loss around the place. So I just wanted to get that in there first. But secondly, a little bit of positive news. Lionesses last night deserve a huge mention. Unbelievable performance. And who says that women's football's dead, eh? Absolutely superb. They've been superb this whole tournament. And if I'm honest with you, one of the best goals I think you're ever going to see in recent times. That was an unbelievable goal from Russo, I've got to say, Lee. Did you watch it, mate?
Yeah, I did. I did watch it. We got when we was in America, we got to the pub just as I think it was about 20 minutes ago, and England were losing against Spain, and it looked like they was going to go out then, and they showed their mettle there and powers, and then to get through that game, and then after extra time, and then this one, well, they just blew Sweden away, didn't they? And I'll tell you what, Beth Mead with a fantastic first goal was overshadowed by that goal. I'll tell you, it was
unreal, wasn't it?
It was unbelievable, wasn't it?
It reminded me. Do you remember when Thierry Henry did it at Highbury against Charlton? He did
it
was one of those, wasn't it?
Yeah, you don't see him very often, and for that to happen was fantastic. I'll tell you what, I really fancy England to win it. I really do. I thought they've just got better as the tournament's gone on, hasn't it? So very, very good, very, very good.
It was very good indeed, and obviously the semi-final was just about to kick off, I believe, or maybe just has France-Germany, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, I'm with you, Lee. I fancy England to win it, and I'd love them to get Germany and beat them. It'd be absolutely brilliant, wouldn't it? But there we go. We'll see what happens, mate. We will see what happens. Fantastic. It's going to be a tough game. Mate, welcome back. It's great to see you, and I've got to be honest, mate. You look like you're having a blast out there, so you got to talk to us, man. How's it been? How was it?
It was different. Different world. I can't emphasise that enough. I just had a fantastic week. It was just a great laugh. I had a great laugh with the guys. It was really good out there. But the American fans, Dan, the next time, even if when the channel we get out there, it was an experience. Do you know when people turn around to you and say, "Oh, this is going to happen," but you go, "Yeah," It was that and more. The fans out there is fanatical, absolutely fantastic. And it's a different thing. Like on the Arsenal Chelsea game, like the Arsenal Orlando game was a little bit different because a lot of Arsenal fans support Orlando as well. That live in Orlando, they sort of a lot of expats and all that. They want to get into football, so they've sort of supported Orlando. So it was very, very mixed sort of game. And then you went to the game on Saturday with Arsenal Chelsea, and it was incredibly loads of Chelsea fans, loads of Arsenal fans, but all mixing. It was never like it's never like what it'd be back at home. And it was just the atmosphere in there, and what they do like this tailgate before, where you go, they all have barbecues and beers and everything like that, and they're just handing out burgers to you. There's no one sort of saying, "Oh, do you want anything for?" No, have this and do this, and then you go in to the the fan park and all that. Well, Dan, I couldn't move when I went in there. Honestly, it was really hot in there. Wherever I went, I was just getting mobbed. It was unreal, and also the actual tournament. The Arsenal played really, really well. You can't deny that. No, I don't. Even I think the harshest of Arsenal supporters at the moment could not deny how well we played. And it looked really good. So it was a fantastic tour. And some of the things you get to do, do you know, you go away and it was just a lads' holiday away. Do you know what I mean? It was just really bundles of fun. And see someone if you haven't seen it, when Julian nicked the Kit Kat, it's unbelievable, So I don't know if you've seen that episode, but yeah, can you believe that? He nicked me. Would you believe that someone, when you buy a bar of chocolate,
I could believe it would be someone. I wouldn't have thought it'd be Julian. I ain't gonna
lie. Oh yeah, he opened it up and just left me one finger left of a 5. I think it was a 6-finger Kit Kat, because in America they do things big out there, like I can't do a four
mate.
finger; it's a six finger, mint one. And I was in some shop and I thought, oh, mint.
Sounds nice.
Kit Kat, yeah, it sounded nice. You know what I mean? And he said, do you know I had a Snickers bar there as well, but like with a Kit Kat, it's a little bit lighter. Do you know what I mean? I thought just in case I have a little coffee or something with a bit of chocolate, so wouldn't go mad because like everything's big out there, burgers and everything like that. Yeah, he nicked it. And then, unbelievably, Steve bought me another one the next day. He said, I bought you a Kit Kat, which was very nice of him. And he done it again, Julian, took one stick out of it before I even opened it, Oh, I don't know. I've got to tell you a story about Julian. Because Julian's been on the show and everything like that. So we go, I was a couple of my mates, one of my mates that I used to play football with, left England to go to America about 30 years ago, and I haven't seen him since. And he was going to be at this game. And one of the mates that I know has got hospitality, got a box. So they said, Lee, come up to the box, bring up who you want, So I said, yeah, no worries, that's very kind of you. So we got in. When we get there, honestly, the reception, when you go in somebody's ground, so even in the Emirates, sometimes you can't get a reception or whatever. I can't get a reception. So he's digging me. Have they got you yet? So I said, no, they ain't got. I can't get a reception. He says, I'm starving, hungry. Come on, see what's going on, So he's got me at the back of the ground. I'm up on the roof trying to get a reception, So I eventually get it, And it says, where are you? It tells us where the box is. So I said, we'll come at half time. So anyway, we goes down. They send us to the wrong part of the where we are. I've never seen someone run so much to get round at the other end, He's sprinting round there, We eventually make it and eventually get into the box, right? So I ain't seen my mates for quite a while, right? So I've gone up there and hello, how are you doing that? Julian hasn't waited for an introduction. He swerved right, gone to the hot dogs, started chucking into them. He hadn't even said hello to anybody,
It's unreal.
Unbelievable. So he's eating. He comes back. We're sitting down. He's got 2 hot dogs and a beer. He ain't sorted out me in Turkish. He just looks after himself. Unbelievable, Unbelievable, the bloke.
All right, you should have said to me, all right, Jack. I called him Jack, not Julian. You know what I mean?
Well, and afterwards, he'd walked into the box next door and took some cakes out of there. And then my mate turns around Andy and says, "Cool, your mate's had a good time." And I said, "Yeah, I think he has, So unbelievable.
Mate, it sounds he's a good old boy. Listen, there's a lot of people in the chat complaining about your TV, Lee, being extremely loud, and it is quite loud, mate. Have you got a TV or something on in the background?
Oh, because I've got the speakers on. Hold on a second.
Give you a couple of minutes to go sort that out. Do us a favour while we're here. There's 250 in the chat. Smash a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And if you can come and support my new channel, I would love you forever. I've hit 3K people, over 3K now.
I was watching the cricket.
That's all right, mate. So I need you to keep helping me with this channel. So it's Football's 12th Man podcast. If you can come over and support, that would be amazing. And do the same on this channel. Thank you very much. Lee, let's talk a bit about pre-season, shall we? If I'm honest with you, mate, I don't take much of today's result against Brentford to heart because obviously we had a second-string team out from what I'm being told. We lost 2-1. The team that I saw was pretty much a B-side, if I'm honest with you. But there are certain positions still, in my opinion, that prove that we are a little bit short. And some of those players that we have seen on show today are okay to come in for 1 or 2 games. But for me, playing a long period of time, if there's long-term injuries to the likes of Tomiyasu, can Cedric play 19 games a season and not drop many points? Can El Neni come in for 20 games a season if Partey's out? Are we going to see Eddie Nketiah up front if Jesus gets an ACL and he's out for 6 months? I'm not so sure, Lee, that those positions are fully filled yet. So I know there's a way to go. I know we've got some players to come in, but trust me, there's a hell of a lot of players that need to come out. We did it on the show before, me and you talking about at least 9 players, maybe even 10 or 11 that could be out the door. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the coming weeks. Having said that, Lee, for me, this is my opinion, and you can come in because you were there live. I didn't watch any of the games apart from the Everton one, full 90 minutes. I watched all of the highlights. So maybe I was mistaken. But from what I could tell, I'll let you come in if you believe there's anything that I say is incorrect. But from what I could tell, I thought first 11, I'm liking it. B-side, completely different. Chalk and cheese. when we saw that first 11 firing, I thought it looked pretty good, mate. And I'm going to name a couple of players who I've been impressed with in pre-season. I know we've still got Seville to play, but actually, if you look at our tour, it's kind of over. So we're getting ready for Crystal Palace now. I've been really impressed with Gabriel Jesus. I love his movement. I love his work rate. I love his finishing. I love the fact that he looks like he's been playing for us for a long time. I like the way he's linking up with players, and his mentality and leadership qualities are definitely showing on the pitch. He's definitely got a winning mentality, and what I really like is the fact that he looks to have gelled, not just with his teammates on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. He looks happy. He looks to me as if he's really bought into what we're trying to achieve here. So for me, that's a really, really good signing. But the other player for me, who I've just been so impressed with, and so pleased to be impressed with, is William Saliba. Now, me and Kev did a show the other night on this channel about how impressed we've been with him, and this guy just looks an absolute colossus, a monster. People are already comparing him to Van Dijk and going perhaps a little bit over the top, but I can understand why people are excitedly, because this guy looks something special. I do look at Ben White and think you're a good defender, mate, but you do have some serious competition now in William Saliba. I don't think it's fair at the moment in the games that I've seen to say to Saliba, you've not got a chance. And actually, Tomiyasu coming back to training only today, I believe, or yesterday, might mean that Ben White plays at right back so that Saliba comes in, and we'll have a mention about what we think the team might look like for Crystal Palace soon. But I've been really impressed with some of those players. The other players I was surprisingly impressed with, one being Martinelli, because a lot of people were saying that he's not scoring and that he needs to up his games. Actually, what I like from Martinelli is how hard he works. He's always tenacious. He looks lively. He looks sharp. He looks to be happy. And I like that from what I can see from Martinelli. What I need to see, of course, is goals. The other player I need to see step it up in terms of goals and assists is Martin Ødegaard, who managed to do that the other night against Chelsea. Really good goal. Want to see him in those positions more, and I need to see his finishing improving 100%. That's another player I'm looking at. And I have to big him up, this player that I'm going to mention lastly, because I've been fairly critical, and I think I'm not the only one. I think you've been. I think a lot of people have been. Eddie Nketiah, I have to give a bit of credit to for what I'm seeing. I don't think he's going to set the world alight, don't get me wrong. But I like how sharp he's looked. He's definitely stronger. He's definitely developing in terms of his turn on the ball. He looks to be able to finish. He's got a few goals in pre-season. And let's just say credit where credit's due to the lad, because he has looked, in my opinion, very good in pre-season. I still think we're short up there. It doesn't change my opinion on that, but it does change my opinion slightly on perhaps how he's progressing as a footballer. That, Lee Judges, is my sum up for pre-season. You're probably going to tell me you're completely wrong and everything I've said is nonsense, but I only saw the highlights. I didn't see the full games like you did, mate. So what did you make of the pre-season to date, mate?
No, I think, considering you ain't watched it, you summed it up really, really well. First and foremost, first thing, I don't know if you remember, we were talking about this the other day. We played Hearts Rangers, lost in the Emirates Cup last season. We was all saying that the pre-season, do you remember we was like going, those results, and people going, oh, don't worry, it's only pre-season, it's only pre-season. And look what happened. This turnaround, we've looked a lot more solid, look more better. And I've got a lot more confidence going into this season than I did last season. And I do think that, I know it's only pre-season, but I do think that it helps, and that's the way I think you need to go in there with a lot of confidence. Let's first of all talk about Saliba. I watched him in the game against Everton, and I was impressed. Dan, I'm going to say this now, even more impressed when I've seen him live. You know what I mean? He's a machine. He just glides across the park. What I liked about him is when there was something for him to defend, he just thinks, right, this is my moment. I can defend. Weren't panicking, weren't going into change. Just comes across, defends it well. Looked really, really good. I know it's only pre-season, but Chelsea are in the same position as us going into the season, which 2 weeks away. I was very, very impressed with him. Jesus, let's talk about him for a second. When we signed Jesus, I'm going to say, I wasn't 100% sure, if I'll be honest, after what I'd seen at Man City. People turning around and saying, "Oh, if Man City had a striker, they'd win the league easy." And now all of a sudden we're pinning our hopes on him and whatever. After seeing him the first time in Germany, just come on and do what he's done. He was brilliant. I know again pre-season, But I don't know if you like. I don't know if they showed you a chance, but Saka went through about 3 or 4 minutes before him. Martinelli put him through. Wasn't 100% sure. You thought, yeah, he might score, it might not. 50-50, you know. When he went through for his goal, you knew he was going to score, Dan. I was celebrating before. I knew he was going to score. That's what we haven't had. Someone is a more clinical finisher, like, you know. If he can stay fit and if he can carry on going as he is, I think he's a game-changing player for us. I really do. I think, you know, I know that's putting pressure on him, but what I've seen of him, he just gives us something different to what we had last season. He just, there was a moment in the game where I can't remember what Chelsea player got injured because he was stretching for the ball, desperate to try to tackle him. He got the tackle in, but injured himself. When have you seen an Arsenal forward being going through and a defender in desperation getting injured from you know? And this is in a friendly, so I do bode that very, very well. I think that's really good, and I'm impressed with him immensely. So they're the two, you know, one that we signed a couple of seasons ago, and this one they've definitely added to the strength of the team and made it a little bit better. With you on this about the first 11, it was evident in the games when one half was played with the sort of more of the first team players and the second half not, or the first half and the second half turned it around in the next game. The gap is considerable, and it is a worry for me. Like, you know, I'm going to be really honest. Let's talk about that's all the pluses of it all. I thought we played some really, really good football. One thing that really impressed me against Chelsea game, Dan, is that we're from the first minute we was on the front foot and dominated from start to finish. This is no mugs Chelsea, by the way, but like if we can do that to a team like Chelsea, we can do it to other teams in the Premier League. So from that point of view, I'm looking at it and thinking very, very good. Partey looked quite fit out there as well. Kieran Tierney's now back in training, which is a good thing. Ben White, you know, people have been, I've seen a little bit online, you know, criticising Ben White. No one's criticising Ben White. I turned around and I felt that Saliba should play. That doesn't mean to say I don't think Ben White should play, because I think at the moment he played right back in the game on Saturday. And straight away people are turning around and saying, Ben White's going to get roasted by Raheem Sterling, blah, 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 blah. No one got past him all night then. So maybe the right back position is something that they can look at him to play. I know it's not ideal, but if you're looking for something there, I don't think that's bad. Also, what that does give us is a lot more height in defending and also in an attacking point of view. So I think I wouldn't be shocked. We go Crystal Palace next Friday, and that's the same back. That is the back four that plays against Seville and also against Crystal Palace. So I wouldn't be surprised. So, and I think it makes Arteta's job slightly easier because he hasn't got to leave out one of them two. Like, you know, he can get them both in the team. Now, I turned around and said on an interview the other day, I said, you know, you don't buy a £50 million player and leave him out. And someone said, well, we do with Pepe. The difference between Pepe and Ben White is that Ben White was bought under the Arteta reign. And I think that's the difference of it. I think if Pepe was bought under under Mikel Arteta, they'd be looking to find him a way of getting him in the team. That because he's not his player, that is why it's happening. So from that point of view, worries, they're highlighted in this transfer. They've highlighted in this tour, and we have a couple of weeks, I think, to sort it out. I don't think it's an issue at the moment going into the Crystal Palace if we went in there with Partey and Xhaka, but I agree with you. Behind that, Lokonga, I would bring in somebody and get Lokonga out on loan to a Premier League club, because there is a player there, but he's not quite ready yet, like, you know. And now if anything happens to Partey or Xhaka, and God forbid both, because it did happen to the last season, then we're in trouble. So I do think that we're going to have to strengthen there. The other position that I'm going to be slightly worried about is goalkeeper. I had no issues last season with Ramsdale and Leno in the two. I know that we're going to let Leno go. It's going to happen today, but the gap between Leno and Turner is big. So we've taking a big gamble if nothing happens to Ramsdale next season, Dan. I'm being serious, because if there was a long-term injury to Ramsdale, we're in trouble. So we are a couple of injuries away from being in in trouble. But we have a couple of weeks to make those issues there. I would still say this now: if there's a goalkeeper on a free, I don't know, like someone like Ben Foster or someone like, as a experienced backup, just to give us that little bit of experience. Why Turner's learning his trade? You know what I mean? Like, I'm worried about that. I'm going to say, I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit worried about that. But ultimately, I said it now. We're 2 or 3 players. If we can get them done in the transfer window, Dan, and I'm not going overboard when I say this, I think we could be having a very, very good season, because Jesus is a game changer as far as I'm concerned. And Martinelli, by the way, that's the best I've seen him play for a very, very long while. And I mean that, but he was a constant threat. I've seen him play, I think he played against Orlando for 20 minutes, with breathtaking. And then he faded out of the game. But this game, he went a little bit longer. I also don't think you should question the heat and humidity out of there. It was very, very hot. And someone like Martin Odegaard, when you're seeing him live, the work rate he's doing, I know what you're saying about goals and assists, but his work rate in that heat and all that was incredible. Absolutely incredible. His fitness levels and his desire. If you're dead right what you say, if he can just add a few goals and assists, then Arsenal are going to have a good season.
I think you make some great points, and you certainly share my concerns in relation to the squad depth. And I'm going to bring this comment up because I think it's absolutely spot on. This is from Goran Talis. Says, from pre-season, a repeat of last season for me. Superb starting 11 who can give anyone a game, but very weak and average squad players. I think that's spot on for me. I look at the squad and I think it's still weak. I look at the first 11 and think it's good enough. And what we need to do now, Lee, is try to improve on last season in every single position. Now, it's not FIFA, it's not Football Manager, I hear you say, but actually, when you already need 5 players and you do nothing in January, that means you're probably going to at least need 5 players in the summer. Some people will say we've signed 5 players, but Turner was already there. Saliba was signed 3 years ago, which means we've actually signed 3. Now, Marquinhos, people are saying, might not be part of the squad, but he might be. But he's definitely not going to start. Fabio Vieira is another squad player. For me, Jesus and Zinchenko at the moment are the 2 that we've got that 100%, in my opinion, improve our first 11. Now, when I look in each position at the moment, Lee, I'm going to go through this very quickly, but there are some positions I think we're stronger, i.e. left back. Definitely stronger now. If Tierney gets an injury, which we expect him to do, Zinchenko will come in. If Ramsdale gets an injury, we haven't got Leno no more. We've got Turner, who I think looks shaky, but let's just hope he's shaken off the nerves to start with. We're still the same at right back. If Tomiyasu gets a long-term injury, who, by the way, people will be shocked by this, but Tomiyasu and Kieran Tierney, who played more games last season? Kieran Tierney or Tomiyasu? Who played more games last season?
I think, I was surprised. Kieran Tierney, I think it was about 2021, wasn't it? Like, yeah.
There you go. So a lot of people will be surprised by that. So we have to look at Tomiyasu as an injury concern and ask yourself the question, is Cedric good enough to play 20 games a season, let's say? Because he's got 4 competitions and you've got 5 subs. I don't think that he is. I don't think he's shocking like some people believe I do. I just think that he's not good enough to have a backup to Tomiyasu to play that many games. So let's obviously, we all hope he doesn't have to. But if he does have to, and we're talking worst case scenario, that for me is still weak. When we look at centre-back, we've got in Saliba, and we've talked about why that might be stronger, and I would agree with you. I look in midfield and I still see issues. If Thomas Partey gets injured, we don't have the player to come in for me to play that amount of games that Thomas Partey missed last season. So that definitely a place that we need to look at. For me, left 8 has always been an issue with Granit Xhaka. I know everyone disagrees and agrees and then disagrees, but I think we need an upgrade. And Tielemans, for me, just needs to happen, and I can't believe that we've not even put a bid in yet. That, for me, is worrying. I'm getting an echo here. There we go. Lee's power's gone out. I don't know what's happened to him there, but I'll put him on mute while he's sorting stuff out. But yeah, I believe that there are still some positions there that we look at thinking, wow, we've got some problems. Right midfield, people are talking about Rafinha. I've put you on mute, Lee. Can we hear you?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate. Can hear you.
Mic light, you know what I mean?
That's all right, mate. I don't know what was happening. You're obviously getting some feedback. So we're talking about where we still think we're short, and I still think it's clear to see that striker, central midfield, maybe a winger if people are going to suggest that, and right back, we're still short. And I think pre-season proved that. For me, plan B does not work at the moment. I don't feel I have the confidence to suggest that those players are going to come in and make a huge difference if we get first team injuries, and that's just facts for me. I don't think that's harsh. I think it's justifiable from what we saw last season. I think El Neni can come in and play a few games, but a few games is all it will be. I think Eddie Nketiah can come in and play a few games, like 8 games with 5 goals. I think that's all it can be. Cedric might be able to come in and do a couple of good games, but I think that's all it will be. So they're the positions I think we're still weak in, Lee. Still a time to go. My question to you is this. What can you see happening? Outgoing still to be done. Incoming still needed. Are we going to be confident going into the close of the transfer window that our squad's good enough to compete with what we believe our expectations should be this season, mate?
Yeah, I think that we're looking at the doom side of it. If we get injuries, we might not get injuries, but you're looking at it as we've got European football as well, so you've got to have 2 squads to a certain degree, Dan. I do think that, particularly towards the back end of the season. I think if you look at West Ham last season, they would have probably won the Europa League last season, but they didn't invest and buy any players, and that cost them. Now we all know that January Arsenal ain't going to do no business. You know that, so you've got one window. When people say, "Oh, you need 5 or 6 windows," we as a club don't really participate in the January one. I keep hearing these things. It's difficult. It may well be, but ultimately, so you've got to make your you must flex your muscles in that summer one. I don't think we've done enough at this moment in time. I really don't. I think we can get away with the right back with Cedric and maybe even Ben White. I thought Ben White played well the other night. I've got to say that. But is that a long-term thing? Well, we'll see over the next few games, because I think that's going to happen. But we hopefully we'll get Tomiyasu back, and then he'll perhaps start playing the Europa League games and then pushing for a first-team place. I think Tierney will as well. I think that it wouldn't surprise me that our first Europa League game, Tierney and Tomiyasu are our fullbacks, Dan. That's what I think it'll be. So I think that's quite strong. And you're quite right what you're saying, like with Zinchenko and Tierney there. That's good cover. That's good. Either you wouldn't bother with which one's playing in that game there. I do think that there is a little bit of a dip then. I don't think there's much of a dip from the central defenders. If you look at Saliba and Ben White, Gabriel, who's going to cover him, is going to be an interesting one. But there's definitely a drop there if it's Holding, and it's definitely a drop there if it's Mari. So then you're looking at midfield, there is a little bit of a worry there. And I also think at the wide areas now, you know what I mean? If Pepe's going to go, and I can tell that it doesn't look like he's happy at all, if I'll be honest. So I do think that we need to improve there. I think what we've got to do in this next couple of weeks, Dan, is, it isn't like a championship manager, whatever it is. Like we've got to look at it realistically. I think maybe the maximum we can hope for is 2, maybe 3, but it's got to be in areas which we really need. And I think that's midfield, up front, and wide areas. I think that's more important than the fullback. I understand what you're saying about the goalkeeper situation. A few of the guys are saying that. No, actually, in America, there was a few guys saying that he's a good in the central defence as well. Like he's a decent enough goalkeeper playing for in America, So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. I'm just going to go on mute for a second. Someone's at the door.
No problem, mate. Yeah, a lot of people in the chat agreeing, disagreeing. A lot of people saying I'm moaning and whinging. I don't really think I'm moaning and whinging. Trust me, you didn't see me last season. I do feel like there's a lot to do, but I have the faith that we're going to have an okay side when we get to a stage of the season. I just hope it isn't too late like last time, and that we don't have the injuries that we did last time. Because I think for me, the first 11 is good. The first 11 is good enough to get into the Champions League. I do think that we have some strength in depth in certain positions. I think with Zinchenko and Tierney, I think with Smith Rowe, with Fabio Vieira coming into the mix, with Marquinhos still being there. Vieira still hasn't kicked a ball, I don't think, yet, with his boot on, but I think he's fit now. Then, of course, you have the likes of Saliba and Ben White. So there is some strength in depth, 100%. But I do believe there is a couple more positions at
Yeah,
least
just one
that
or
need
two, Dan.
addressing. Yeah,
Just one or two. I don't really want to be like going to. I really do think that if we could just sign one or two, because that's a great point you just made there about Vieira. Forgot about him. You got Odegaard and Smith Rowe that can play there. Smith Rowe can play on the left hand side if he when fit. Listen, another thing about Smith Rowe, I'm a big fan of Smith Rowe. He hasn't kicked a ball hardly in this
mad, innit?
pre-season. I said at the beginning of the season he needed to have a big pre-season to push his way into this team, but he's just hardly played because he's just getting injured all the time. And I do think that we got like we're two players away from challenging Liverpool and Man City. Listen, when I say challenging, we're not gonna challenge them long term, but we can be in the race, you know what I mean, like for a while, you know what I mean, be up there. The squad's not good enough and the team's probably not good enough for Liverpool and Man City, we know that, like, you know, but let's just have a little look about those two teams. When people think that I'm mad and everything like that when I say it, like, you know, Liverpool have got rid of Mane and brought in Nunez. No one knows how that's going to go, Dan, you know what I mean, it could be a master stroke, it might not work. The same with I can't forget bleeping his name there, like, you know, like the one at Manchester City, like, you know, Haaland. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be a great signing. He's a great player. But towards the end of the season with Dortmund, picks up a few little niggly injuries, Dan. You know what I mean? So you don't know, you know, Premier League and all that, like, you just don't know. So what we've got to be is prepared if one of them two or both of them just have a little bit of a fight. I still think it's a marathon rather than a sprint, and they will get better as the season goes on. But we've got a chance to be pushing with them as other couple of teams as them down the road have as well. Let's not forget about that. So, but we need to be in that race, you know, and I just think with a couple of more players, we could really be in with a really good chance. And it's a lot of pressure on Jesus, but I do think that if he goes away, I've seen him going, you know, he's going to be really good. And our defence, I think, will improve next season, Dan, with Saliba in it. I really do.
Yeah, I do. We'll come on to Edus' interview in a minute, but we're going very, very quickly into what I can't believe we are, but we are, Crystal Palace. I'm going to tell you what I think the team will be. Let me know if you disagree. It's clear to me that Ramsdale will be in goal. I think the back four will be Ben White at right back. I think Zinchenko will be left back. And I think it will be William Saliba and Gabriel. I think the three in midfield will be Thomas Partey, Granit Xhaka and Odegaard. And then I think it will be Saka, Martinelli and Jesus. What's your thoughts?
Exactly that. The same team that started against Chelsea last week, and I think that will be it there. I really do think that'll be there. I think that Tierney and Tomiyasu just don't have enough minutes then, nor as Smith Rowe. But if they can get some sort of minutes now in the next week or so, having them on the bench makes our bench stronger. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so Eddie, what you said earlier on, I like what I've been very, very impressed with Eddie in that. You know, same amount of goals as Jesus on this tour, 4 each. You know, so I've been impressed with him. I like what you said earlier on. You know, he looks a lot stronger. So, some of the turns that he was doing, I haven't seen him been doing that in the last few months of the season. So I think with the run of games towards the end of last season and now, you know, and also I think, which is a good thing there, is competition between them two now. Genuine competition, which we haven't really had, Dan. You know what I mean? If you really look at it last season, what competition did Lacazette have? What competition then when Eddie got into this? So there wasn't. Now there's competition up there, like, you know, score goals and all that. The good thing is, I think both can play out wide, so there can be, you know, things ain't going well, we can get them all on the pitch there. So I do think that's a little bit better there, like, you know. So listen, I'm not going to get carried away because I still haven't forgot the two performances of last season at Tottenham and Newcastle. But I will say this, we do look a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more ruthless up front. I think that's a word which you've not really related with a lot of Arsenal players over the last few seasons. It did look like that. I know it's only a friendly, but they were ruthless against Chelsea. You know what I mean? Like 4-0. It could have been 5 or 6 then. You know what I mean? I don't think that should be underestimated and brushed aside because it's a friendly. And I'm pretty sure that I don't know about you, and if Arsenal are going to lose games, I'm glad they've lost today, because if they're all watching that, they must be thinking, well, we need to strengthen it a little bit. Like, you know, it's a telltale signs, you know, and that's why until those last couple of picks are not done, I'm not going to be happy with this transfer window. You know what I mean? Pleased, but not happy, because we had the opportunity to sort these areas out in January. We chose not to. So when we come to this summer one, we cannot choose not to do it, and that's my big issue.
Yeah, 100%. We do need to sort this out, and I believe that they will, because they have to. There's no more excuses now with this regime.
No, I agree.
In my opinion, you know, I can't have this. Oh, he needs more windows. Oh, it's not his team yet. Oh, let's give him another 250 million and try and sort things out. I need to see some form of progress, and for me, I'm not accepting anything less. Than a Europa League win and a race between third and fourth. That's what I'm going for.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I've seen a lot of things on Twitter where people are saying, oh, that they want Edu out. I don't know why they want to say, Edu, saying Arteta out at this moment in time. He's still like, you know, I don't really get that at this moment in time. You know, he's been given a new contract. That's the way you're going to have to go. So you've got to support and whatever. But ultimately, on the other end, I can't see when people who are still unsure about Edu being called all sorts of the names under the world for having that opinion. When people are calling these players names and everything, was they not at Tottenham Hotspur? Was they not at Newcastle? These fans, so very, very short memories at times. Like, you know what I mean? So when you're calling people names and calling them all that because they've got an opinion, you know, there is justification for people still not being totally convinced of Arteta. But on the other hand, you know, which I do agree with, is a lot of people turn around and say, right, he hasn't had his players. Wait until he gets his players. Well, he's got his players now. He's got his players. Whatever happens on next week at Crystal Palace, if he goes in, they're his players. They're all his players now, like, you know what I mean? So there's none of that. I don't want that excuse no more. That excuse is gone. Now it's a clean sheet, blank sheet now. We start off at Crystal Palace and let's see how we go. But so from both sides, for me, I'm going to see how it goes this season, getting behind the manager, getting behind the team, and to see how it goes. But if we go to teams like Tottenham, and fold, and fans walking out at half time, and there was a lot of fans that went at half time or just after half time, and then what happened at Newcastle, then you've got to start looking at, you know, hold on a minute, this ain't the team. So it's a big season for this football club. Really big season, and I'm expecting big things from Arteta this season. I'm going to say this now. I expect him to deliver, and if he doesn't deliver, then I want to know why.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think it won't be a shock for you to know that. I want to get your opinion on this, Lee, just before we do move on to the Edu and Arteta stuff to close. Thanks for the super chat, Dal. He says, if Jesus gets injured, who have we got? I think we know the answer is Eddie, but I think what he's meaning is that good enough, Lee?
No, it's not good enough, but how can I say it? Like, you know what I mean? This has been hit at Spurs for 5 years. What happens if Kane gets injured? You know what I mean? Look at the positives. He don't get injured. So that's what I'm looking at with Jesus. You know what I mean? That he doesn't get injured. That's how you go into it. Like, you know, but, you know, I think, I'm going to say it now, put my neck on the block here. I think people are going to be a little bit surprised by Eddie this season. I've been watching him in pre-season. I've been more than impressed. In fact, I'm going to hold my hands up. I didn't think he was going to be good enough, but he's done enough in the last sort of 10 games at the end of last season. 10 games, 5 goals. That ain't a bad return, Dan. 4 goals in the appearances in friendlies. Forget they're friendlies, but you still got to take your chances and whatever, like, you know what I mean? So I'm going to back him at this moment in time. Whether it be enough, well, we'll wait and see. But I'm going to say this now. Edu and Arteta are putting a lot of faith in Eddie, and the fans are. Let's hope he delivers. And I've got a feeling he will.
Well, for me, I'm going to be realistic because a lot of people are really unrealistic with these amount of goals that everyone's going to get. Erdegaard's going to get 25 GAs, but Jesus is going to get 35 goals. I don't think anyone's done that. I think it happened once. I think Jesus is going to get 35 Premier League goals. Eddie Nketiah is going to get 20. It's mad. I'm like, hang on a minute. Let's just calm down a little bit. If Gabriel Jesus can target 15 to 20 Premier League goals,
exactly.
I think that would be a very, very good start. If Eddie can try and get double figures, if he's a backup striker, that is, I think that would be very, very good. And I think that if Erdegaard, as people are mentioning him, can try to look at getting as close to double figures in terms of goals and as close to double figures in terms of assists, I think you've done very, very well now that he's got some players in front of him that no one can say are rubbish. When you look at Saka, Smith Rowe and Martinelli, I think they need to try and be hitting double figures as well. Because let's be honest, if we're going to actually look at that, Lee, and say these players in our front line are all getting close to double figures, we are going to be well up there, mate. We are 100%, especially if Jesus can prove that he's got 15 to 20 Premier League goals in him, which I think, let's be honest, a lot of people are suggesting that he will have. Then there's no reason why Arsenal shouldn't be having a very, very good season, mate. So let's see what happens there. I just want to quickly, Lee, go on to this one from Cyrus, who says, quick question, if both Leno and Ramsdale want first team football, why don't they just rotate them across all competitions, Lee Judges?
Well, I think they have done that in the past, and they could have done that this season, where obviously they couldn't last season because we didn't have the Europa League. So you could actually say, look, you know, Leno, you're playing in Europa League and you're playing in the FA Cup and League Cup, and just leave Ramsdale to do the league. But I think that, you know, that they want the consistency of knowing that you're one and knowing you're two. You know, it's funny, isn't it, really, that you that's the only sort of position that sort of does that in that whole league. You know, if you know, oh, right, you're going to definitely be a back. I don't think, say, for instance, Saliba and Ben White are going to go, oh, well, I'm going to be the backup and you're not. They're fighting it out, like, you know, but it doesn't seem to be like that with the goalkeeper. So, good question and all that. Like, and we do need a few more super chats in. You know why, Dan? McDonald's has gone up. Can you believe that? The cheeseburger.
I know. It's unreal, isn't it?
From 99p to 119 now, I think it is.
119.
119.
It's crazy, isn't it? I fancy a Big Mac. I haven't had one for a while.
Yeah, I haven't had one for a little while, but apparently it's 12 years since it's gone up.
That surprises me.
It's kept it at 99p for 12 years.
That surprises me.
Yeah,
it is, man. It is. You're making me hungry now, mate.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're fine, mate.
You know what? I was in America, like, I didn't have McDonald's once.
Did you not? Was it Wendy's?
No. There was a Wendy's here, but it didn't go to that neither. You know what I mean? So
let me down, mate. The
argument was, we've got all them over here. Let's do the American thing, like, you know. So we went to like a chicken place, which is American chicken and barbecue place. But yeah, I always think that USA McDonald's is different though. But there you go. So
I think all of them are, mate, different abroad. A lot of people say it's not, but it is for me. 100% it is. Yeah. Right. Enough about food. Otherwise, we're going to make everyone hungry. There's almost 1,000 if you're watching live. You lot are mad. Please smash the like button if you haven't done so already. That would be amazing for us. And if you could go and follow my new channel as well, that would be amazing. I would love a subscribe. I've just hit over 3K, so if you could come and help that grow, that would be amazing. Lee, let's talk a little bit. I just wanted to bring up a comment, but it's gone somewhere actually. It was a really good point about how Kane and Son for Tottenham have got, obviously Tottenham have got good strikers in Kane and Son, and they've now still gone and bought Richarlison as well as Kulusevski, and that's what Conte's doing, is he's buying back up. So for me, Kane, Son and Richarlison and Kulusevski, that's very, very strongly, isn't it?
It's very, very strong, but the reason that I think there's a big gap between Champions League group stages and Europa League group stages. Tottenham have got to have a big squad. And listen, if you're left out of the Champions League game to play in the league game, or you're left out to the league game to play in Champions League, it's a little bit easier to swallow than being left out of the Premier League game for the League Cup or a Europa League. You know what I mean? So I get what you're saying and all that, but look, let's focus on what we're doing, not other teams at this moment in time.
Good point. 100%. Listen, let's move on to Edu and Mikel Arteta. I want to talk about Edu, Lee, because it seems as if he's learnt from a year on, where he was asked the question, what's your target? And he said, well, we ain't really got one, just we'll see what the new team's like. Now, it was very, very different, wasn't it? And it was good to hear, in my opinion. Now, some will say it's absolute nonsense. He's just saying what everyone thinks he wants him to hear. But having met him now, Lee, I think you know that, I assume you can tell us, but I think you know that he does want Arsenal to go to the top and that he does want us to get back to winning trophies, and that's good. When he says our target is to win, I like that. That's what I want to be hearing. I don't want to be hearing we're going to try and get into the top four, or we're going to go and try and do something in the Europa League as best we can, or whatever it is. I want to hear we want to win. So when you hear stuff like that, and you've met him now, Lee, what do you make of that? Sorry, can I just bring one comment in there? I never understand. Never understand this. Never understand this. Please explain what this means. Dan, just go and support Spurs. I want to win. Why would I go to support Spurs who don't win anything? It makes absolutely no sense to me, this comment. I get this a lot. If you don't believe in this project, then just go and support Spurs. What the hell does that even mean? I have no idea what that means. Sorry, just had to bring that up, Lee.
And it's once you're an Arsenal fan, or you're a Tottenham fan, or you're a Leicester fan, or whatever, that's it. You're done. You know what I mean? You ain't going to change. You know what I mean? Like at the end of it, all I know is, and I'll say that, listen, I've been with Dan to games and things like that. Yeah, he just want Arsenal to win, and you're not happy with that. And what's so wrong in that? And I don't understand that. We all want to win. I get that, and we've all got our different ways of supporting the team. And not everybody's the same. Look, God bless her with Maria. Look how she supported the Arsenal. You know what I mean? I'd love to be able to support the Arsenal like her, if I'll be honest. Love to be all positive and all the time. But I'm afraid that I'm not like that. I'm sometimes half full and sometimes half empty. And so I don't know why they're going there, you know what I mean, at the end of the day. And no one's worried about Spurs. Or you are worried about Spurs, that's up to you. I'm not worried about Spurs at the moment. I'm worried about Arsenal, and what we're doing, and that's it. Because when your rivals are doing better than you, that's going to hurt. And so I don't know why you want to say that,
Yeah, very bizarre. I don't get it. I do get it a lot, though. I get that. I don't understand. I can understand if they go and support Man City because they win everything, but it's very bizarre. Anyway, let's move on, mate. Let's come back to that because I know when you look at it, Lee, you've spoke to Edu now, and I felt that you could get something from him in relation to where we're going. So, what do you make of Edu's comments in that interview, mate?
Listen, I think I'm going to say first and foremost that Edu's very, 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 very clever man. You know what I mean? I think that he's not just engaged with myself, but other fans as well. You know what I mean? On the quiet and whatever, and he's tried to gauge what's the right things to say and what's not to say, and everything like that, and what he's come out with. Listen, he come out last season and said what he said, and whether you think that's right or whether wrong, he was taking the pressure off of the manager because probably he felt that 5th or 6th was where he was going to go. But I think with the signings that we've got now, he believes that we should be pushing for it now. We've got a world-class striker at long last, potentially world-class striker. And I think that he will turn into a world-class striker. I will say this, if he says to me, I'll talk to Edu again, I will say, when are Arsenal going to sign a world-class player? You know what I mean? His argument might be, well, we never really do sell by world-class players, and it's never been all the way through the Arsenal thing. So I get that. We create them and make them. So there is for that. But this time around, I think he's been very, very shrewd in what he's saying. There is pressure, not pressure, but he's saying that, we expect that. I think the greatest thing that he said to me was that top four is not the aim. Well, the aim is for Arsenal Football Club to be challenging and winning titles and winning trophies. That's what he said. You know what I mean? And that is what the owners want as well. Now, when somebody like that says it to you, you know what I mean? That gives you optimism. Now, I haven't divulged that something that he's not said to other people, because he's now come out and said that in the interview. That's what's expected or hoped. And do you know what? As a fan, I think he's actually said what we all think. We don't think that we're going to win the league, but we want to be challenging for it. I've never said that we should be looking to win the league, and I'll say this now. Even when we was under Arsene Wenger, but I wanted to be challenging for it. When was the last time we challenged for a league? When? You know what I mean? The Arsenal Football Club. We're not saying that we want to win it, but we want to challenge for it. And I think that that's something that he's took on board, and they're saying that we want to be looking to challenge for it. And I think at the end of the day, do you know, I will say this: if Arsenal fans have been very, very patient over the years, Dan. I don't care what anybody says. People say, "Oh, Arsenal whinge and whatever, like this and this and that." Arsenal fans have been patient for a long, long time. And now comes a time when we need to just get a little bit back. And, listen, I want to go into a season. And, when people can laugh at me and maybe whatever, when you feel optimistic going into the season, thinking that do you know what? We might challenge for the league. We might win a trophy. I never felt that going into last season, you know what I mean, at the end of the day. And so what I want from my manager and my CEO and my owner is hope, optimism. I'm not saying that I want guarantees, and they're the things that I want. And I think that that's what Edus has come out and said, and I have to say I believe in what he says. I do believe in what he says because, first and foremost, he's an Arsenal player, or ex-player, and I think he's got the club at heart. When people turn around and say, he's getting paid for it and all that, well, of course he's getting paid for it, but at the end of the day, he still wants the best for Arsenal. And at the end of it, Dan, if things don't work out, he's not got his job's on the line, so he wants to be successful. Same as Arteta. There comes a time when you've got to be accountable, and I think that this comes with this season, and I think that's what we need.
I think it's well put. I think everyone's talking nonsense if they actually believe that Arteta and Edu want Arsenal to fail. I don't really get any of that.
No, and
Arsenal, for fans, everybody's supporting the club, everyone's surrounded by the club, wants Arsenal to be back at the top. And I feel like you, Lee, that we have been patient. 18 years without a title, and let's be honest, we haven't really ever felt like we were going to win one. Got to a Champions League final and believed that we should have probably got over the line in that if it weren't for circumstances. But other than that, we've not got close to another one since. And I think when you look at it now, trying to qualify for the Champions League, I think it's taken way too long. So, yes, we were close last season. This season, there's no excuses. And we have to try and do all that we can now to win that Europa League and to try and secure it through the league. And I'd like to see us go deep stages of the cup competitions, mate, because I love those trophies. I really do. I don't mind losing a game of football, and people think that I lose my head when we lose a game of football. If we lose a game of football, we deserve to lose a game of football. That happens. That's the game. But when we're losing to Nottingham Forest in the third round, playing a team that's depleted, I'm not going to be happy. If that happens again, I won't be happy. If we're going in the Carabao Cup and we're losing to Rotherham, I ain't going to be happy. If we get a Man City or a Liverpool, or even if we get Chelsea or Man United, all those teams on their day can beat us, and we can't be losing our heads if we go out to teams like that. But at the end of the day, if we're going to be losing in the Europa League to teams that are below us in quality, I'll be annoyed. If we're going to be finishing outside of the top four and the teams ahead of us are, in my opinion, not better than us, I'm going to be annoyed. So I think it's just the way you look at it differently, Lee. Some people are really patient. Some people are happy to wait another 10 years before they win a title. I'm not. I want to be winning every single opportunity, mate. And I think personally, we're nowhere near that at the moment. So that's why people say be positive, smile, be happy. I will when I believe we're going to go into the season.
Yeah, exactly right. Someone just put in the chat there, which is a great point. if we got third and won Europa League, that's an excellent season.
Brilliant season.
Brilliant season. I'll take that. I'll bite your hand off for that. That's a fantastic season. Fourth and Europa League is an excellent season as well. Fourth or third without the Europa League is a good season. Nothing. I don't think you can go overboard about coming third or fourth. You know what I mean? But and that's the difference. It's fine lines. But I would take third or fourth. I think if you come third, you're the best of the rest. Then you know what I mean. That's as simple as
100%, mate. 100%.
So I'd 100% take that. And I would say that's a bloody good season. Well done to all concerned. Put that little icing on the cake with a trophy. You know what I mean, like the Europa League or even the FA Cup. That would be fantastic. Third and either of those cups would be fantastic. Listen, come fifth and we win the Europa League. That's a good season. I wouldn't say it's an excellent season because you come fifth and all that. But then without that, if you're coming fifth on sixth without the Europa League, then it's not as good. So it's fine lines, Dan. It's fine lines between something and losing something, So we'll go there. But actually, Obi-Wan, brought out that comment, and it's a very, very good comment because it's something that I think we've got to aim for. I think third would be a very, very good position. Do I think we'll get there? I think that maybe it's out of us, and Spurs would be challenging for that at this moment in time, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we really will. I do believe that there is a good chance, if we get the signings right, that we could try and do it. Let's read out this last super chat of the night, and then we'll wrap up. Cyrus, again, thanks so much, mate, for your kind donation, and thanks for listening yet again. So here's a small prize for you, Lee. I think Jamie Vardy would be a perfect as a second striker. He'll bring a winning mentality, leadership, and experience. What do you make of that one, Lee?
Well, yeah, that'd be something that you go in there and do. I think that his time's coming to the end now. I would prefer someone that can be like a target man sort of a striker. If I'll be honest, someone that we can get in crosses, and I still don't think that that's something that we do well on. But listen, I wouldn't be against that. Would you be against that, or would you think that as a backup, he certainly is not.
Listen, I think he's better backup than Eddie Nketiah, but he's not the player I would say was on my lips to go and sign. But having said that, if it was an option, I'd definitely take it over Eddie, 100%. Because he's proven in the Premier League to score goals. So that for me is fair enough. Last one, Lee. I'm going to ask you, and then I'm going to have a go. Predictions for how many signings we're going to get, mate, until that window slams shut. How many more do you think are coming in?
Well, I think we need more. We need probably 3, but I think we'll get 2.
Oh, look at that. We're going to agree. I think we're going to get 2 as well. I think we're going to get a midfielder, and I think we're going to get a winger. Unfortunately, I still feel that will leave us short. I think it depends what midfielder we go for. I'd like to see us get another defensive midfielder, but I feel like we won't. I'd like to see us get a right back. Can't see that happening. I'd like to see us get a striker. Can't see that happening. I can see us getting a midfielder and a winger, though. And I think you're right. I think the 2 that will come in will be those positions filled. Lee, been a pleasure, man. Great to have you back as well, mate. I've missed you.
Unbelievable.
I know, it's unbelievable, isn't it? It really is, mate. But it's great to have you back, mate. It's been weird without you. But we will start to provide sort of pretty much daily or every other day content now leading up to this season, because there's a lot to be happening, and we're going to try and get on as much as we can for you guys. Well over 1,000 if you're still watching. Unbelievable, man. If you could do 2 things for me, that would be amazing. Like both my channel and Lee's channel, smash a like on this, sub, and then head over to Football's 12th Man podcast and do exactly the same thing if you can. That would be amazing. Until then, my thanks to you, Lee. Thank you very much, mate.
Sure, Danny Boy.
Always.
Are you going Saturday? You at Saturday's game? Or?
No, I'm not. I've got a family barbecue at mine, so I won't be there. But I'll be watching it.
I did say that. Yeah, no, I mean, that's right.
So
that's why I didn't get the invite. Yeah, that's right. I remember
now. I did actually invite you, actually, as it goes. But yeah,
I do remember now. I remember.
You do remember now. Listen, guys, thank you all so much for still being with us. Smash a like on your way out. We'll see you next time. Take care, and up the Arsenal.